you by my side, where there's no harmony or rhymes, just a freight train rolling down the tracks of a lonely night. Oh love, you are worth the fight, 'cause my soul's for you, though not pretty or poetic.
Well, good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Here comes Isaac. It's a beautiful day here at Crossroads. And if you're jumping in online, welcome to you also. And those of you in the room, go get yourself a cup of coffee if you have not had a chance. Isaac's got the coffee over here. We both have it. We're both big coffee drinkers. Wait, hold on.
Maybe oh, there it is. Yeah. So I have the coffee in my mug, and I was thinking about just cutting a little hole in the back of this bag of beans here, Jess, and just eating a couple of them. But that might look weird, wouldn't it?
I would probably have one too.
No one would even notice. But
let's not open that.
No, that's not. I do love coffee, and I will say this, that I love this coffee even more, knowing that what it's about, and we'll talk some more about that soon. But it is coffee with a cause. We'll talk about that a lot.
That's right. I'm jumping on. I'm just going to jump on and see who's here. Hi, Simon. Hola, Debbie.
It's a great cup of coffee. That's what I want to say. You should go get some.
Organic
it's
Ethiopian
awesome.
blend. So part of what we're doing, we will talk about it. We always jump in with people that are tuning in online from all over, which we love. And we're at one summer service now at 10.
One summer service.
Which is great. Yeah. And we hang out with the room.
We do. We hang out a little bit. So can I tell a little story?
Yeah,
is that
go
all right,
ahead.
Jessica? Like we
your thumb?
It is about my thumb. You know, so but it's so those of you, if you can, I don't know, you don't want to zoom in on this. I have a Band-Aid on my thumb, and that's because I sliced it open yesterday practicing for something really cool. We are having on student ministry on Thursday night.
Yes.
Thursday night, coming up, this coming Thursday night out in the Student Center. We're having a big birthday bash and send-off for one of our students who's joined the Army, and he leaves here in just a couple of weeks. But we're going to celebrate that by making pancakes and having a great pancake time. You know, and I'm a coffee snob. You should all know that by now. But I'm also a pancake snob.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I don't do the Bisquick out of a box style.
No, me neither.
We kind of make it from scratch.
Yes.
And I follow a recipe. And I was digging into the baking powder can. And apparently, when you pull the tab off of those, they make a really sharp rim on the baking powder can. And I stuck my measuring spoon in there and went like this and sliced my thumb open. But... you know, I did that because I was practicing for our students. I just
that's good. That's good.
It was for a cause, but
that's right.
Kind of crazy. And funny thing is that super glue works really well, if you were wondering.
Yeah, it does, huh?
So I did that on my thumb. But
I don't like.
If you have middle school or high school students, please come on Thursday night for our pancake send-off birthday bash. I don't have a great name for that yet, but it's going to be a blast.
Well, and we have a Thursday night gathering in here at 6:30.
We do.
And so some people do bring their students and sit in here.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. It's really a nice, relaxing time. My kids love being at students, and we're going to be camping this week.
Oh, so they're going to be missing out? You're pulling your kids out of that? Well,
I'll have to make pancakes up there, but it's not the same.
I'll send you some batter. I'll send you some batter. How about
Send me some batter.
Yeah. So we're making the batter, and one of our other volunteers, Miss Carol Pretty, is helping create these pancakes. So, yeah, we're going to have some griddles going over there Thursday night.
Fun.
And I promise not to cut my thumb open again.
Hey, so what have you had this weekend? Were you out in the rain yesterday?
Well, no, I did mow the yard really well right before the rain.
But right before.
Yeah, it worked out great. I like to do that when it's going to rain because then the grass gets cut and watered at the same time. But yeah, I got it in. I got it mowed and trimmed and ready to go, and had a lot of fun with that. Made my house look good. And
now, Isaac, I'm sore.
You're sore?
But today
What'd you do to make you sore?
So we had a soccer tournament yesterday.
Oh.
Okay,
did you play
5v5?
in the tournament?
No.
I thought you played soccer.
I cheer loud.
You cheer. Okay. All right.
cheer. The third game, torrential rain, and I did the whole game under a quilt like this,
Yeah.
under the heavy rain, and sometimes I peeked out at the game.
Yeah.
And now I'm like getting a little old for that.
You're a little old.
Yeah, I'm like
little old
very
for holding
sore.
a blanket over your head.
I think Micah's a little more sore than me after 3 soccer games.
Well, I see Scott Barrow is in the audience.
Micah
Maybe he
did.
could help you out. You know,
Who?
He could help you out. Scott.
Barrow could help me.
She's a little sore, Scott. You think you can?
Can he help me with that?
He's Sorry, is that a business plug for you? No.
Hey, no.
No, he doesn't want it. Okay, never mind.
Yes, good. It was fun though. Beautiful, beautiful day and weather.
Yeah, it was a great day. I loved it.
And today it's beautiful here.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. We've got great coffee. Great people
so,
in attendance.
Go get yourselves coffee. We're
great
going to
service
get
plan.
started.
A baby dedication
baby
today.
Dedication.
It's going to be amazing. And we are so excited you are all here.
Yes. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Hey, everyone in the room. Hi, everyone online. Let's stand. We're going to sing together. People come together. Let's sing. People come together. Strangers, neighbors. Our blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, of kingdom come. Don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. Take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from.
Today, we gather to experience God's presence in community. We are a people who have come together, body and soul, responding to the Spirit's invitation to find rest. Some of us are strangers. Some of us are friends. Some of us are family. All of us are loved. All of us are welcome. All of us are friends of God. Every soul finds its true value in union with the Creator. In the care of God, your soul is safe. Your heart can be full. Today, our souls take courage as we lift our eyes and remember where our help comes from. Jesus, our redemption, light of heaven, friend forever.
Sing Jesus. Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood.
sing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation and everything with breath repeat the sound. All His children with clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Sing, praise go up as the walls come down. And all creation, everything with breath repeat the sound. And all His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace to God. His name is Jesus. Sing His name, Jesus. Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, the light of heaven, my friend forever, His kingdom come.
Thank you, team. Well, welcome, everybody. You can be seated. I'm Jessica, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's service and just say that we love being together. It's so good to be together, whether you are in person here in the room or joining us online or on the patio or in the atrium. Welcome to you.
Yeah, and as we, before we continue in our service this morning, I just want to say, well, hello. Sorry, I should introduce myself. My name is Isaac, and welcome. And we have a lot of fun things going on here at Crossroads this time of year, and I just want to we're going to have some opportunity to share what those are. And the best way to stay connected with us here at Crossroads is through the Connect card. And if you walked into the room this morning, you got a program with one of these handy-dandy cards in it. You can pull that out at any point and start to fill it out. And this is really the best way to stay in touch with what's happening. And if you're watching online, there is a digital Connect card at crossroadscolorado.com/gather, and you can fill that out there, and our online host will drop it in the link as well. But it's a great way to stay in touch with what's happening. You can submit prayer requests, get links to registrations, as well as all the next steps that come out of the sermon pieces at the end. So we would love to stay in touch with you, whether you're brand new here or you've been coming for a long time. Please take just a moment to fill out the Connect card.
Yes, that's right. And if you know Isaac and I, or if you were here a little early, we love coffee. Both of us are big, big coffee drinkers. And Isaac has a big bag of coffee here. And we want to introduce you to Equal Exchange Coffee, right? Yes. Equal Exchange Coffee Roasters. We are committed to serving coffee from organizations that return a greater percentage of the coffee dollar to coffee farmers and cooperatives in developing areas of the world. And this is, so we're just not serving regular coffee anymore. We are committed to coffees with a cause, and that's our current partnership, the Equal Exchange Coffee. So if you didn't get some, go get it. Go get some organic Ethiopian blend. If you're here, if you're online, go to equalexchange.coop to order yourself some, okay? We would also like to send you more information about it and ways you can support the coffee. And you might also want to be on the coffee team, which is super, super fun. So you can check that on the back of your Connect card, and we'll send you more information.
Yeah. So we have, beyond having great coffee here, we have other fun things happening this summer. And one of the most fun things that's happening at the end of this summer is our Crossroads Adventure Camps. Yeah, they're happening August 2nd through the 6th. And I heard a little bit of applause out there. Crossroads Adventure Camp. Let me maybe get some people. Yeah, there it is. There's some people like, we've been waiting 2 yeyears for this. You signed up 2 years ago and you're excited to do it again. But Crossroads Adventure Camp it's 2 years away. And we are so excited about it happening this summer, August 2nd through the 6th. And not only are we offering our traditional Crossroads Kids Adventure Camp, we're also offering a Crossroads Teen Adventure Camp during the same week. It's going to be so exciting. And so I would ask that you all check that out. And you can do that by looking at crossroadscolorado.com/camps. So check that out. Our adventure camps are a blast.
For sure. It's one of my favorite weeks of the whole summer. It's a wild, fun party rally in here. It's also a great chance for the volunteer teams to get to know each other, to learn new skills, explore things. So we are also looking for a lot of volunteers to pour into this next generation and come serve at Kids Adventure Camp. But one thing we want to point out is that you don't have to see that schedule and think that you're not able to do it. If you were able to even just welcome people one morning, that would work too. If you want to learn how to use technology in the room here in a safe environment where we're doing these rallies with kids, we'll teach you. And so it's a great time and chance for you to become a volunteer at Kids Adventure Camp.
No, we're having a hard time. Maybe we've had too much coffee.
Yeah, so I need some more.
Coffee with a cause is making it hard for us. I'm sorry about that.
But you can register yourself at that same link, crossroadscolorado.com/camps.
Yeah, check it out. And lastly, we want to thank all of you for your generosity that makes this place what it is. Such an incredible opportunity to serve our local community and beyond. So whether you give by a check or mail or Venmo or online, thank you for funding that mission of hope and generosity in Northern Colorado and beyond. So thank you for that.
And here in the room, we just, at the end of our time together, there's orange boxes, and that's where we give.
Yep, there's some orange boxes in the back and out there.
As you leave today.
And we just ask that you would read our weekly e-newsletter that comes out on Wednesdays as well. You can find out all the things that we talked about today and more. So thank you for being here this week, and we will see you soon.
Yes. Well, as we continue with our service, we have a wonderful baby dedication, and so Ryan is going to take us from here.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Jess. Give them a great big hand for keeping us updated. That's good. I want to welcome everyone. If you're out in the atrium or the patio or at home or in the room, thank you for being here today. One of my favorite things that we do is baby dedications, child dedications, and that's what we have today. And if you're kind of unfamiliar with baby dedication, like our tradition in our community of faith is really kind of comes from this wonderful story that we have in the Gospel of Matthew. In the Gospel of Matthew, it says one day some parents brought their children to Jesus so that he could lay his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples scolded the parents for bothering him. But Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me. Don't stop them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children." And he placed his hands on their heads and blessed them before he left. And so we gather in this space, and whenever we can, whenever we have a baby or a child that is wanting to be dedicated, we take a few moments to do a couple of things. We want to publicly affirm the value of children and families to the life of this church, that we are grounded in being a safe place. We are grounded in being a place that partners with these families. We want to publicly commit our resources to the spiritual formation of children, and we want to celebrate new life, right? And we want to spend some time publicly praying for wisdom for parents and to speak a blessing over these children. That's what we're about. Now, I have up here a table that's got some gifts. We'll talk about those later, but there's this jar of marbles here, and inside of this jar of marbles, there's 936 marbles, and we always bring out the jar for baby dedications because it's a reminder that that's how many weeks you have as a caregiver, as a parent with a child from birth to age 18, 936 weeks. So each marble represents a week. And during this time, there's a shift that takes place. And it's a shift of leadership. It's a shift of caregiving. It's a shift in our way of parenting from authority to influence. That as our children grow older and mature, we have less and less authority, and we have more and more influence, hopefully. And influence is really about training, and authority is about training. And Proverbs 22:6 says, train the young in the way that they should go. Even when old, they will not swerve from it. And so that's really what today is about. It's about us as a community together, and it's about a family making commitments, a family and parents committing before God and before this community to raise children in the love of God as seen in Jesus, to commit to training children in the way they should go. And that way is the path of Jesus, who is our wisdom. And it's for the congregation to make a similar commitment, to make that commitment before God and before this family, to support them in spiritually training children in that way they should go, the path of Christ Jesus, who is our wisdom. Now, this passage in Scripture has really been used and misused and abused like so many passages in Scripture, oftentimes with really good intention. But what does it mean to train a child in the way they should go? Does that mean we should teach them what church to go to and how often they have to go to church? And they better read their Bible this many days, and you better believe this about Genesis, and you better believe this about this, and this about this, and a lot of... Everybody take a breath. Here at Crossroads, what we want to encourage families and what our family ministries is dedicated to is to helping train children in things that they really won't want to depart from, and the deep truths of God, themselves, their parents, other people, and the Christian life. And so we want to encourage parents and families in our own family ministries to train into children that God is love and that Jesus was the embodiment of this love. We want to train children and help them understand that their parents' love is unconditional. It is a mirror of God's love, that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, worthy of love and affection. And that if they're fearfully and wonderfully made, every person is fearfully and wonderfully made. And to believe about the other, that they too are loved by God equally. And to understand that the Christian life is a vocation of love. It is an attitude of love. It is a grounding in love. It's not about memorizing. It's not about understanding everything about the world. It's not about having perfect doctrine and theology, but the Christian life at its truest sense is about love. And so would you do me a favor? We want to welcome Kelly McKenna to the stage and any of her support group and her team that's going to be joining her. And they're going to be bringing Marin Shauna McKenna, who was born on August 13th, 2020. You got to keep clapping until they get here. There's a lot of work, you know. You just got to cheer them on. Got to cheer them on as they come. We're reminded that children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him. So welcome, Kelly. It's so good to have you and so good to have Marin here and your support team, these folks joining us. So tell us, Kelly, who do you have with you here today as part of your team?
Some of my family, my brother Cody, his kiddos Grayson and Easton, his wife Kara, my sister Jillian, her son Kellen, and my dad Mike McKenna, and then some family down there.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. It's so good to have everybody. So I'm going to ask not only you, Kelly, but the whole support team here, a couple of questions, 5 questions if I've got it right. And the appropriate answer is yes. Okay? It's not a trick question. And you might not know how, right? You might not know how to live these out, but the goal is it is your desire to do these things, right? And they're really based upon what I just said. So here's question number 1, and it concerns about training our children what to know and understand about God. They want to bring you up into the light so everybody can see you, right? And so here's my question for you. Will you use your authority and influence to train Marin to understand that Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God, that this God is love, the most powerful and wonderful mystery, that all things are hidden and protected in God, just as she was once hidden and protected in the womb? Very good. Now, will you use your authority and influence to train Marin to understand that you, as the parent and caregivers, are trying to be a visible image of divine love for them? This divine love, yes, that's right. This divine love that is unconditional, so that she'll understand that nothing she could ever do or say would cause any of you to love her any more or any less. Will you be a mirror of God's unconditional love for her? And will you use your authority and influence to train Marin to understand that she is fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, that she is to be celebrated regardless of her race, her gender, her sexual orientation, her talents, her abilities, or her disabilities? And will you use your authority and influence to train Marin to understand that if she is fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, then everyone else is as well, and that she too can mirror God's love to them? Yes. And last question. You guys are doing great. Like 4 out of 4. You're nailing it. All right? Will you use your authority and influence to train Marin that the Christian life is a vocation of love, that it is the giving of divine love to everyone without exception, believing that this love was demonstrated perfectly in the life, death, and resurrection of the historical Jesus? Yes. Very good. Now, to the congregation, this is really what it's about. So you all need to stand up too. Go ahead and stand up. Shake the legs out a little bit. We're going to sing in a minute, but this is about us as a community committing to this family that they're not alone. So I've got a few questions for you as well. I'll pause to give you opportunity to answer correctly. Yes, we will. Okay, those are your answers, whatever you want, but loud, because this family needs to know that they're not alone. All right, so here we go. Crossroads Church, as a community of peacemakers grounded in the work and message of Jesus, do you commit to partnering with this family in their decision to train their child in the path of Jesus by generously committing your talents and treasure to create programs and ministries where babies like Marin mature into adults with a faith grounded in the unconditional love of God and the prophetic call of Micah 6:8 to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God, which was modeled perfectly in the life of Jesus? Yes. Question number 2. Will you all create age-appropriate pathways of justice work where children like Marin can learn to cooperate with the Spirit of God for the fair distribution of God's world for all humanity? Yes. You're catching on. Will you create age-appropriate pathways of mercy so children like Marin can learn that everyone has a story of wounds and wounding, and that God calls each of us to be the merciful hands, heart, and mouth of Jesus? Yes. Last question. Will you commit to walking these pathways humbly with God, modeling for our children a faith that embraces the mystery and wonder of God by affirming the power of curiosity and questions while avoiding the dangers of certainty and pride? That's pretty good. Now, practically speaking, what that means is y'all are going to volunteer for camp. And y'all are going to give in the offering so we can have camp. That's what you just committed to. So that's very good. Let's take a moment and pray together. Father, we are so grateful that you have modeled for us this love that we couldn't possibly fathom, that we can't live out, but you give us grace to walk through this. And so, Lord, this morning we come and we pray and we speak a blessing over this family. Lord, we speak a blessing into Kelly and this team that's with her, that you would guide and provide wisdom generously to her heart and her life. For those moments where she might feel overwhelmed, may she know that you are present through all of these people, through this church family. And we speak a blessing over Marin, that she would be filled with your grace and your love and your mercy, that her life would be marked by curiosity and courage, that she would understand that there's nothing that she could ever do that would cause you, her creator, to love her any more or any less than you already do, because you love perfectly. And for our church, God, may we truly be grounded. May we truly be found to be a place where families of all types can come, where families, no matter what they look like or how they function, can come and understand that they are loved and welcomed, and that children can grow to become young adults and adults who bring your hope and your peace into this world. And we thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Yeah, give them a big hand. So Isaac, who oversees our family ministries, is here to represent our family ministries and has a gift basket for you. And for everybody to know, inside the gift are 2 books, one called Telling God's Story, which helps parents navigate how do you talk to your kids about the Bible. And then also a book here that is called Faithful Families, How to Create Sacred Moments at Home. And it has like 50 practical ideas to create these sacred moments in your everyday life. And lastly, we have a candle. And our hope, not lastly actually, our hope is that you'd light that candle every birthday and remind Marin that she is the light of the world. And who she is, fearfully and wonderfully made, should shine brightly for all to see. And then we have a blanket that has today's date, her birthday on it as well, to just remember that. So thank you so very much for letting us be a part of this day with you. We wish you and bless you and hope the best for you. And we can't wait to see all the amazing things that God does through Marin and in Marin in the years to come. Give them a great big hand as well. Again, thank you all. Couple of songs here, and this time of singing, if you're kind of new to faith, can seem strange, but it's an opportunity for us to focus our hearts and our minds, because the presence of God is here with us, and God is always available if we will simply allow ourselves to be present to it, to turn our minds, to fix our gaze, to look upon the one who loves us. So enjoy these two songs. Allow them to just be an opportunity to prepare your heart for what God has for you today.
Let's sing together. Sing all the worries. All the worries of this world, I will lay them at your feet. Surrender every anxious thought for perfect peace. Your perfect peace. Loved ones I hold dear, all my hopes and dreams and all my fears, I would choose to trust your name in everything, in everything. I will look up, for there is none above you. I will bow down to tell you that I need you, Jesus, Lord of all. Jesus, Lord of all. I will take you at your word. Jesus, you have taken hold of me. All my life is in your hands. You are my strength. You are my strength. Come on, let's sing it together. I will look up, for there is none above you. I will bow down to tell you that I need you, Jesus, Lord of all. I will look back and see that you are faithful. I'll look ahead, believing you are able. Jesus, Lord of all. Jesus, Lord of all. Come on, let's sing. I will look up. I will look up, for there is none above me. I will bow down to tell you that I need you, Jesus, Lord of all. I will look back and see that you are faithful. I look ahead, believing you are able, Jesus, Lord of all. Jesus, Lord of all.
voice, let's sing together. Miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who. Yes, you are. Miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are a waymaker, a miracle worker, a promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. We sing, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yes, you are. A waymaker, a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yes, you are.
So this morning we want to just take a moment. The letter of James says that if anyone lacks wisdom, they should ask God, who gives generously. And this is a powerful prayer that when we're in a circumstance in our life and we aren't sure which way to go, could be a good thing, could be a negative, a hurtful thing, something that brings us a lot of joy, but there comes with it this reality that just we need wisdom, a path forward, that we're encouraged to pray for wisdom and that God will give that generously. And so if you're here this morning and you're in a set of circumstances and you would say, I just need wisdom, we want to take a few moments and pray this very simple prayer. Lord, give us wisdom to see the way that you can make. So Father, we pause and we know that love makes a way where there seems to be no way. We know that your grace is poured into us, and we know that we also live in a world that is filled with wounds and wounding, and oftentimes that produces hardships and pain in our lives, and we need wisdom to know that path, that way forward. And so for those that are watching, tuning in, that are in the room, that maybe are listening to this or watching this message throughout the week, that right now in this moment, would your Spirit just open up our minds to the wisdom that comes from you? That you'd give wisdom for how to move forward in that tough parenting circumstance, that you'd give wisdom to move forward in that question about marriage or relationship, that you would give wisdom as to move forward with that doctor's report, that you'd give wisdom as to move forward with the job, whatever it might be, whatever tension is in our hearts and our lives. May we learn to pause, and will you pour your wisdom into us? Will you pour that wisdom in a multitude of ways, God, through wise counsel around us, through the Spirit of Jesus that is present in us, through your scripture that you've given to us. And in those moments, may we recognize and may we honor this wisdom that comes from above, that guides and directs our paths. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Well, do me a favor, turn around, wave at somebody. They're going to give you a little bit of light. Go ahead and have a seat, grab your talk notes, and Pastor Dennis Anderson will be out in just a second.
How many of you found yourself whistling along with that? You just can't help it, right? What a good day to be together. Thanks for being here. If you're joining us online, glad that you're with us. I'm Dennis. I'm Pastor of Ministry Development here, and it's just great to be together, isn't it? I heard a woman say to me this morning, we came for the first time a couple weeks ago, and we thought, we'll maybe go back a couple times a month. She goes, you know what? We're going to be there every week because it was so good to be together, right? Well, in the medical and mental health care setting, there's an evaluative scale that they use to determine, to evaluate someone's grip on reality. So if you're in a car wreck or if you're being mentally evaluated, they'll use this scale. They'll call you alert and aware times and then assign a number 1 to 4. So if you're in a car wreck and the personnel are with you, they'll go, do you know who you are? And if you can answer your name, you are declared alert and aware times 1. All right? And if you know who you are, and then they'll ask another question. Do you know where you are? Yeah, I'm in an ambulance. You're alert and aware times 2. You know your location. Then they'll ask, do you know what day it is? And if you can say it's Tuesday, they'll go, you're alert and aware times 3. And if you can answer all those questions, and you also know what happened to you, I was in a car accident. I'm in an ambulance. It really hurts. They'll give you an alert and aware times 4. But if you're missing any of those things, they'll just evaluate us there. And I thought, how many of us are alert and aware times 0 when you get up in the morning until you've had your first cup of coffee? Some of you go, yeah, they're not alert and aware. They're alert and grumpy until they have their first cup of coffee. Well, what if we use this alert and awareness scale to evaluate ourselves throughout this whole series of the spirituality of happiness? Are we alert and aware of our divine connection with God, of the science and what Scripture says about what life is like, how to be happy? Are we alert and aware, these are some of the topics we hit every week, about our gratitude, our mindfulness, our optimism? Are we alert and aware? We have a solid grip on reality about my physical health, about my character quotient, my signature character gifts, and my kindness quotient? Are we alert and aware times 4? And then our anchor verse is Psalm 1, 1 and 2. Happy are those, alert and aware are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked or take the path of the sinners that sinners tread or sit in the seat of scoffers, but their delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law they meditate day and night. And so today we're going to take on what we're calling hallmark number 6, which is personal soul care. Are we alert and aware times 4 when it comes to my awareness about what's going on in my soul, my health of my soul? Do we think about our souls much? Do we even know what our soul is? If I'm an alert and aware times 4 when it comes to my soul, this is what reality will be like. I know who I am. I know my place in my family, my neighborhood, my world, my church. I know my purpose. I know what time it is. In other words, what season of life I'm in, and how my life connects to God's larger story and where that story seems to be moving. If I'm alert and aware times 4, I have a firm grip on reality as God designs, as God desires and displays and infuses reality with himself. In fact, professor, author, and spiritual guide Dallas Willard said this. This is your first fill in the blank for those of you who like to fill in the blanks. Your soul is the most important thing about you. So, if that's the case, evaluate yourself. If you're taking notes, you can write it in. If you're not, you can just make a mental evaluation of yourself. How alert and aware are you when it comes to your soul? Give yourself a number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. You see, the word soul is a bit of a weasel word, isn't it? You try to nail it down and it hops away, and you try to define it and it just kind of you can't quite get a grip on it. Even though in our culture, soul is a very, very popular idea. Ever heard of soul music? Yeah, soul music. Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Stevie Wonder. Aretha Franklin was considered the queen of soul. We eat soul food. Some of us do. That's what it looks like. You eat a lot of that, you're going to see your soul real soon. There's soul power. We talk about soul mates. There's a city called Soul City during an election cycle. Oftentimes, the political parties will say, the soul of America is at stake here. The CEO of ServiceMaster wrote a book titled, The Soul of a Firm. Shortstop and team captain for the Yankees was known as the soul of the New York Yankees. Anybody know who this is? Some baseball fans. Derek Jeter, soul of the Yankees. When a ship captain or an airline pilot counts the number of people on the manifest, they refer to them as this number of souls are on board. Apparently, you can sell your soul to the company store, as the old song went. You could sell your soul to the devil, apparently. At least that's what Homer Simpson thinks and believes. I mean, one day he's tempted to sell his soul for the big price of one donut, which he consumed all but one bite, which he put in the refrigerator because he didn't want anybody to quite have complete control over his soul. You can buy a soul. A woman, actually, named Lori, tried to sell her soul on eBay until eBay came up with a no soul selling policy. She listed it for the price of, guess what? $2,000. What's your soul worth? My question is, what would you get if you bought it? You can buy a soul. Here's a picture of one. According to Harry Potter, in the movies and the book, there is one thing you ought to fear because it can come to you and suck out your soul. What is it? Any Harry Potter fans? What can suck out your soul? A dementor. A dementor. Watch out for them, especially when you go home. On the internet, there's a list of 17 soul-crushing jobs. Number 1, telemarketer. So be kind to your telemarketer next time they call. They're in a soul-crushing job. Don't take your phone out and when they call, go, don't do that. Don't say, I told you never to call this number. It's done, and there's blood everywhere. Don't do that to a telemarketer. Apparently, a soul has some weight. A doctor about 100 years ago took 6 patients who were about to die and weighed them. Immediately after they died, weighed them again. And the difference was 21 grams. Science or not science? May God rest their 21-gram souls. When someone is in trouble, the universal distress signal is what? SOS. Save our... Yeah, and I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're putting up the SOS symbol. Save our sermon. Please, somebody. Well, Jesus talked a lot about the human soul. And one day a hotshot lawyer, probably from Harvard Law School, wink to Ryan, asked Jesus this question. Professor, Rabbi, what do I need to do to get into the kind of life that God offers? And you'll recognize Jesus' response. Luke 10:27 says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul. There it is. With all your strength, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And in this verse, Jesus lays out 5 elements of what makes us up as human beings. And Dallas Willard takes those 5 elements and expands them in a book called Renovation of the Heart. And he actually uses a drawing to describe how the soul fits in with the rest of our lives. And he says at the very center of a human being, we have what's called our will. And in biblical language, it's often referred to as the heart of the matter. It's what makes us human and not a plant. It makes us a someone and not a something. It's what helps us make choices. Good or bad, we make choices. It's what fuels creativity oftentimes is our will. And then surrounding our will is we have a mind. Most of us, if you haven't lost it. And along with our mind comes our feelings. And when he initially put these together, I thought, wait a minute, feelings are separate. They're emotions. He goes, well, no, actually, you never have a feeling that doesn't have a thought attached. And so these two do go together. When we interact with our world, we have an emotional response. It's because, and oftentimes even how we feel is how we think about that particular thing that happened. And then we all have a body. And that's how we're known in this world, right? If we didn't have a body, we wouldn't know each other. It's like our little power packs that we get along in the world. It's how we're present to one another. Our bodies act oftentimes according to how we think or how we feel. And sometimes our bodies help us understand how we think and how we feel. How our bodies look is a core part of our identity. And then there's the social aspect. We're all born into some kind of relational network, some kind of a family probably, a community, a culture, a country. And so how that interconnectedness often helps us understand who we are as people, and we can't ignore it. In fact, that's why when the lawyer came and asked Jesus about what's the most important thing, he didn't just say, you got to love God. He says, love your neighbor as yourself, because we're interconnected. It's an important part of our identity and what shapes us. And then the soul. The soul is the aspect of our human nature that integrates, that speaks to and understands all of these different aspects of what's going on in our lives at any given moment. Dallas Willard writes this. He says, what matters most, what marks your existence, the really deep reason why human life matters so much is because of this tiny, fragile, vulnerable, precious thing about you called your soul. You're not just a self. You are a soul. You are a soul made by God, made for God, made to need God, made to run on God. Our soul is like the inner stream of water which gives strength, direction, and harmony to every other aspect of our life. When that stream is as it should be, we are constantly refreshed and exuberant in all that we do because our soul itself is then profusely rooted in the vastness of God and God's kingdom, including nature. And all else within us is enlivened and directed by that stream. Therefore, we are in harmony with God, reality, and the rest of human nature, and nature at large. We are alert and aware times 4. In fact, if we're very connected with God on an ongoing basis, I would say we're alert and aware times 5. We're not just a self. The self is a standalone, do-it-yourself unit. And oftentimes people who don't access the spiritual dimension of their lives, it's just the self, and maybe it's their social. It's the self stuffed with the self and nothing else. And we see the tremendous value of a healthy soul when Jesus asked this question in Matthew 16. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? And Jesus is not asking a heaven question here. Jesus is asking a soul health diagnostic question, which I'm going to ask us. What do we often give in exchange for the health of our souls? Because what is running our lives at any given moment is our soul. Not external circumstances, although they play a part, not our thoughts, not our intentions, not even our feelings. It's our souls that take in all of the input from all of these other aspects and into kind of what I call a soul stew. And we live out of that. We're nourished by that. And the healthier that stew is, the healthier that stream of water is, if you will, the healthier we can react into the outside world. Our souls combine all that together. And if our souls are healthy and God is a part of it, the result is that my normal day, normal peacemaking life is marked by great contentment, deep joy, and a healthy confidence in God. Now think of your car. We all drove here probably, or have a car, or ridden in one. There are a lot of different systems in a car. One of them is the system that moves us down the road. You can move down the road. You don't have to have air conditioning heater. You don't even have to have much of a cabin. If you have a propulsion system, you can go. But what if you have tires in that propulsion system that 2 of them are really out of balance? Some of us have done this. You're driving to Denver, you get to about 65, and what happens? The front of your car starts to shake, and then if you push through it and get up to about 90, I've learned it like smooths out. If you have a flat tire, can you still go? Yes, and some of you have. Some of my kids have from time to time, and my spouse has once in a while, and I've reminded her, don't go when you have a flat tire. It creates a lot of problems. Again, you can go with an unhealthy system, but it's going to be difficult, and there's going to be some pain. So in this illustration, Our soul, our lives are like that entire car. All systems, when they're working in order and are healthy, the result is a joy-filled, confident, grateful ride. Doesn't mean it's problem-free. Not that. It's just that we can learn to respond in a way that's healthy. But here's the problem. The soul can get sick. The Bible has a word for this. Sin. And I know that we often equate sin with immoral behavior, but not all sin is intentional immoral behavior. Sin at times is doing those things that are destructive to my life or others, or not doing those things for my life that would be constructive for my life or others. You've heard Pastor Ryan say that sin is doing those things that wound me, wound other people. But it also includes not doing those things that would lead to my spiritual health. For instance, a child that doesn't go to school. It's not immoral. It's not immoral not to go to school, but it will certainly affect the future of that child's life, won't it? In the book of James, there's a description of a person who has a sick soul. James 1:8 says that such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. Now, the word that's translated double-minded literally means double-souled or split-souled. And I think we know the reality of this because there's two me's. There's the real me that I let you see, there's the real me that I see, and there's the me that I let you see. And the me that I let you see doesn't always line up with the me that I see. And the closer we bring those two together, the closer we live an authentic life before God and before one another, the more single-souled we'll be. But many of us, we still do this. I do this. We like to dress up and pretty up the soul that I let you see. Because I want you to think well of me. I want you to think I'm smart and I'm bright and I have my stuff together. I don't really want you to see the interior's part of me. That's why Jesus says this in Matthew 5:8, where he talks about when we get our interior world healthy, we can deal with our exterior world in a healthy way. Because we can never control the exterior world. So if we live our lives trying to control the exterior world, guess what's going to happen? You're going to drive yourself crazy because you cannot do it. It's just too big, too complex, and too complicated. The thing that I can most influence about is my interior world. And so Jesus says you're blessed when you get your inside world. This is Matthew 5:8. Your mind and heart, and I would add the rest of this, put right. Then you can see God in the outside world. I'm going to give you 5 symptoms of a sick soul. Number 1, we have difficulty making decisions. Steve Jobs, who's the co-founder of Apple, was certainly a single-minded person when it came to decision making. It is said that he had a wardrobe made up of 2 things, blue jeans and what? A black turtleneck. Why? He said, I don't want to waste any of my decision-making energy in the morning deciding what I'm going to wear. Some of us could actually use some of this. A healthy soul is able to say yes to the most important things and no to the less important things, and everybody's okay with it, especially inside that person. Number 2 symptom, we feel constantly vulnerable to people or other circumstances. We're always checking outside to know, I get my interior equilibrium by what's going on around me and what people think and what people do and how are they going to react if I decide this or that. Pontius Pilate's probably the best example of a sick soul, one of them. He couldn't decide what to do with Jesus. He couldn't figure out. It was all about the external world. Jesus, what do you think I should do with you? My other political leaders, what do you think I should do with Jesus? He goes to the religious leaders. What do you think I should do to Jesus? A sick soul would only do this. Take the Son of God, God in human form, and leave his crucifixion decision up to an angry, ravenous mob. Our souls are sick when we are overly concerned about what others think or do. We live with high levels of fear and anxiety. Number 3, we lack patience. In fact, if this is you, you probably think patience is for wimps. You're driving down and this is how you know if you are impatient. You're driving to Denver on I-25, and you get stuck behind a truck, and there's a slow-moving car right beside you, and you're just hemmed in. And this starts to go on, and they go slower and slower. And you can look around and go, hey, both lanes are clear up front. And you drive that way for a while. You could be sick with impatience if you realize after 10 minutes you've been plotting the murder of the person next to you. Or you might have a sick soul if you are shopping in a grocery line and you pull up to the line that says 15 items or less, and you know you have 17 items. And there's a person in front of you with a pretty full cart. And so you make it very obvious so that you lean over, you catch their eye, and you start counting the items in their cart. And you count out loud, 16, 17, 18, 19, and you look them in the eye and you go, well, I never. And you take your cart and you move to the other 15-item line. You might be impatient if that's you. Or you might have experienced internet impatience. You're uploading a movie, right? Or you're loading a movie in, and it won't load in like 5 seconds. So you go, oh, I need to refresh, and you hit the refresh button, and it doesn't refresh right away, so you hit the refresh button again. You go, oh, no, maybe it'll open in Chrome. And so you click over into Chrome, and you open it, and it won't open. And all of a sudden you go, oh, I'm going to shut down my computer. I'm going to pick a different movie. Any of you ever have any internet impatience? And then you run around the office screaming, the internet is so slow, the internet is so slow here. A healthy soul is at rest, even when life is busy and hectic. There's a sense of pace and rhythm and proportion, even when life is busy. Here's a fourth symptom. We're easily thrown off our game. Has anyone ever ridden one of those mechanical bulls? Anybody? I have. In fact, this was, not especially proud of this, but we were at a cowboy restaurant and bar in Wyoming one time, and they had a mechanical bull, and my buddies talked me into riding it. And I thought, what? I grew up on a ranch. I grew up on a farm. I have some experience in riding animals. I did the mutton busting contest when I was in the 5th grade. Sheep, bull, both farm animals. How hard can this be? So I walk up to get on the mechanical bull, and the guy goes, come here. And he makes me sign away this form, this like 12-page form that basically says, if you're going to be this stupid, don't blame us. Right? That's what it is. And so I get on this thing, and he says, okay, let me coach you a little bit. There are 12 levels of difficulty, but here's the deal. Stay loose. If you try to clamp down and get a grip on this external part of you're going to get tossed off. So you got to stay loose. You got to stay centered. You got to keep your gravity, close to the bull. You got to ride like that. And I thought I could do this. So he cranks it up. I get on. He cranks it up. I think we have a picture of me. There it is. And don't look too close because that's not really me. But anyway, I'm riding this thing, and he starts to turn up. I look over there. He grins. He starts to turn up the dial, and the thing starts flailing around. And first I fall off one side, and then I think in my brain, my automatic response is, I got to get a hold of this thing. So I grab on, and then I realize, hey, that's the best way to get tossed. You got to stay loose. So I stayed loose. I mean, there were some things in me that loosened up that I don't know, even though I think they're still loose. And I rode the thing, and he turns it down, and it finally stops. You know how long a bull ride is, right? 8 seconds. It seemed like 20 minutes. And I grin. It's like, hey, I got this thing. And he looks at me, and he says, that was level 1. Cranks the knob, and in 3 seconds later, this is me, right? There we go. But a healthy soul stays centered, has that centeredness of gravity, doesn't grip onto external circumstances like it's their life is at stake. And so people who have sick souls are easily thrown off their game. You don't stay loose. Take things as they come. You always feel out of control or flailing around. Here's number 5. Anyone here we find our identity in externals. You don't stay, we define ourselves by our trophies, by our accomplishments, by our positions, by those things that are awards that are hanging on our wall, or degrees that are hanging on our wall, or the title on the front of our desk, or the emblem on the front of our car, or the sign in front of our neighborhood that we happen to live in. Our friends, our family, and if we don't do that, sometimes we get our identity from our kids' success and our kids' all of that stuff. So those are the 5 symptoms. Anyone here exhibit any one of those 5? And if it's not you, do you know someone like you might live with that exhibits at least one of them? Well, let me give us some help, all right? How do we have a healthy soul? How do we do that? Well, Jesus tells a parable one day. It's a story, really. I took a little liberty with this story, as you'll see, but you'll probably recognize it. If you're from the South, you'd call it the parable of the souls. And here's how it goes. Mark 4:3-8. Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering his seed, some fell on the soul of the hard path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell on the thorny soil, where weeds grew up and choked the plants so that they did not bear grain. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, some 100 times. You see, a healthy soul thrives and grows and produces fruit. And even though the first three souls are not fruitful, they do hold the keys to a healthy soul. And here's the first key, and it's this: get soft. Get a softer soul. See, the hard soul is cynical, bitter, suspicious, guarded. It didn't start out that way. That's not how a path gets formed in a field in those days in that culture. The way a path got formed in a field, people just kept walking over the same thing, the same spot, and eventually it got hard. And there's some of us who've been walked over and walked on, and because of that, you've armored up, to borrow a Brene Brown term. You put on your armor, you guard. You don't want to let anybody in there, because if you do, it's going to hurt. And so you have a hard path. And sometimes that hardness can turn into cynicism and bitterness. Those hurts weren't grieved. They weren't forgiven. And now you've got a hard path through the middle of your life. To have a soft soul, it means, humble, receptive, eager to learn something new, eager to take what I already know and re-examine it. And I think especially this, soft souls, they're quick to love. Quick to love. It's automatic. The kind thought, the kind heart, the kind action. Jesus was quick to love, and especially quick to love people who thought they were on the outside, couldn't belong, were rejected and left out. Quick to love. So the basic posture of a soft soul toward God is yes, yes, and we're quick to love. The second kind of soul that this parable talks about is the shallow or rocky soul. And my point here, the antidote would be to go deep, go deeper. You see, the kind of soil it's talking about there is you have a shallow layer of topsoil and a big layer of rock right underneath it. And you plant a seed in there, and it waters, and the seed springs up immediately. But when the sun comes out, because the plant has no root, it hasn't gone down deep, it withers and dies. Had a conversation with a pastor 2 weeks ago, he and his wife, not from this community. And I asked him why churches that are inclusive and diverse and more open don't seem to be growing as fast as other churches who aren't that way. And his response was, well, you can decide what you think of his response. I'd just say it's very passionate. He said this: lots of people are afraid to ask questions and are afraid to question the answers they were taught as kids. He says they don't want the struggle. They want easy. They want security. They don't want gray. They want clarity. They don't want complexity. They want simplicity. They don't want a big, vast, mysterious God with a little bit of personal understanding. They want their little bit of personal understanding and about this much mystery of God. I thought, ooh, he feels kind of strong about this. He went on. He says they don't want various and sometimes competing interpretations of the Bible. They want someone who's been to seminary or at least Bible school or at least knows someone who has read someone who did those things to tell them exactly what the Bible says so they don't have to struggle with ambiguity. And then he said this: people's faith is simply too shallow. When we said all that, I thought, well, alrighty then. I wonder about the Rockies. He was passionate about this. And here's the truth. If you stick around Crossroads, if you do, I guarantee you that our desire is to help you go deeper in your understanding of what we know about God and broaden our understanding or acceptance of the deep mystery of God. You'll probably be challenged to change your mind about some things, especially about who and how we love. Because around here, maturity is not going to be measured by how much we know. It's not going to be measured by how much we do. The yardstick for measuring maturity around here, which we think follows Jesus' maturity, is how much we love. Can we honestly say that we love God with our whole soul? With all of this, body, soul, mind, spirit, can we say that? Can we honestly say that we love our neighbors as much as we love ourselves? Well, I have a ways to go, and my hunch is many of you do too, and we're going to try to do it together. You can help me, and we'll try to help you. And here's the third thing. We need to learn to unclutter our lives. The third unproductive soil never produces fruit, not because it didn't grow stuff. Oh my goodness. It had all kinds of stuff growing in that field. It says weeds were growing in that field and thorns. Well, here's the definition of a weed. A weed isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a plant that's growing out of place. So for instance, when we grew up, we planted bean fields. And guess what came up sometimes? Corn. Dad would go out there and go pull all the corn out of that field. Wait a minute. Corn is good. Corn is good, but not in the bean field. And I think sometimes many of us, we want to grow beans and corn and olives and pecans and alligators all in the same field. So we need to unclutter our lives a bit. Dallas Willard was asked, what is the secret to a healthy soul? He said this: ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your lives. And why is it that we're in a hurry oftentimes? Is because we have too many plants we're trying to grow in the same field of my life. Ruthlessly eliminate hurry. You can be busy and not hurried. Busy is a state of our schedule. Hurry is the posture of our soul. And the hurry that most of us experience isn't because we're doing good things and bad things. It's because we're trying to do too many good things. In fact, go re-listen to Ryan's sermon from last week, and he talks a lot about developing margin in our lives. There's some great suggestions there. And here's the deal. It won't just happen automatically. We have to do some things. And so this is the question: what's God inviting us into today? And so I'm going to go back over these three things. Go deep, go get soft, and unclutter, and give us some practical suggestions on how we could do that. So the get soft key action is love. A soft soul is an overtly loving soul, person. And again, this happens in normal everyday circumstances. Say yes to those little God nudges throughout the day to love, extend love to a person. A person, when I was working on this on Friday, a person called me out of the blue. Haven't talked to him for 15 years. He called me and said, "Hey, Dennis, I came across your name," and he said, "I just thought I'd give you a call." He says, I appreciate you. He says, "I love you. I just want you to know that." I thought, there's a guy who responded to a God nudge because he needed to know that I was loved by him. And that was awesome. It was awesome. So when you get those little God nudges, just do them. Just do them. Write the note. Send the text. Invite them out to dinner. Whatever the nudge is, respond. You know, last week, Ryan talked about buy a Costco chicken pot pie and put it in your freezer because somebody in your neighborhood is going to need a meal sometime, and now you're ready. I loved what he said last week. He says, it's not about doing random acts of kindness. It's about doing intentional, prepared acts of kindness. That's what loving people mostly do. I love that. And when that little girl or boy sets up that lemonade stand in your neighborhood, stop at everyone. Pay double. Pay triple. Because one day you will have one of your kids or grandkids down there, or you have had, and you understand the impact of a neighbor that comes by and says, "I'll give you $5 for a $1 glass of weak, warm lemonade." Because it's not about the lemonade, it's about it's so great. So let's learn to love. Here's the second thing. The go deep action is to ponder. Stay curious. Don't close off your mind or your heart to things. When you're challenged with a new idea or thought about God that makes you uncomfortable or upset or tempts you to go to another church, keep listening. Keep probing. Be willing to push through it. In fact, be willing to stay in that discomfort for a while. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. We have to go through oftentimes this period of disorientation and discomfort. Sometimes we have to unknow some things in order to move beyond that to something that's bigger and larger and probably more mysterious. and maybe less certain, but it's bigger and more free. I was reading one author that I've been reading a lot this last few years, and he said this: people stop reading me too soon. So don't stop listening too soon. Hang in there, ask questions, make an appointment. Call one of us and go, can we talk about this? I don't quite get it. Can you explain this to me? So let's ponder together. All right? That's part of our life together, is to ponder together. Okay, last one. Unclutter, key action, savor. Savor. We don't need all those activities that oftentimes we have signed up for. We don't. And neither do our kids or grandkids. Sometimes I wonder if we do it because of us. We want them to be successful, and I need to feel successful, so I want them to do that. And here's the truth. You've heard this statement: I'm just going to do more with less. Well, here's the tricky part of that. When you start to do more with less, initially less feels like less. It just feels like less. We have to get used to that. And if we stay in that less moment, we will begin to learn to do this, and this is the word savor. Savor. Linger. Linger. Savor it. Savor moments. Many of you know our son has triplet daughters who will be 3 in August. And this last week, they have a strawberry patch in their backyard. So I was there for a little bit, and I told the girls, hey, let's go out and I'll pick you some strawberries. So I went out there and I start picking strawberries, and there's 3 of them, right? And they're almost 3. They like strawberries. And so I'm picking them out of the patch, and I'm putting them in this hand. And Stella and Cora come, and they eat a few, and then they wander off to do something else. But Ivy, here's a picture of her. Strawberry after strawberry. She's just standing right there, and she has a deep voice. She goes, Mo. 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 She was like a gambling addict in Las Vegas feeding coins into a slot machine. Mo. And I remember one time I said to Ivy, Ivy, have you tasted any of the 57 strawberries you've just eaten? And so I think that as we learn to savor our lives, instead of always going to God, Mo, 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 a savor moment would be to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, look at that, look at that. Because we're going to get all kinds of strawberry moments in our lives. And some of us, we just gorge ourselves. Whatever. Mo. Learn to savor these strawberry moments, like a conversation that you get into. And I know you got stuff to go, places to go, and people to see. But what's going on right now is so rich and important. You just savor the conversation. And you know you're savoring the conversation when your soul steps out of yourself and says to yourself, this is a powerful moment, Dennis. Stay in it. That's your soul talking to you. Stay here. This is wonderful. This is rich. This is loving. Stay in this moment. That's your soul talking to you. Or maybe your soul moment is going to be a strawberry moment would be at sunrise. You get up, you walk out in the yard, and instead of pulling all those weeds, you just smell the freshness of the morning. The rain from last night. You look at one flower instead of 45. Just look deeply at the flower. Or if you're at home and you're changing your 14th diaper of the hour and trying to cram mac and cheese down the throats of your 3 children that are all under the age of 7, because you have places to go, and instead of doing that, you pause and you rub your hand over that baby's cheek and you look in their eyes. You see the sparkle and you see the life and you see the love coming back to you. Strawberry moment. Savor it. And when you're wiping the mac and cheese off your kid's face, savor it. Just eat some of it. No, I'm kidding. Savor it. Look in their eyes. Savor those moments. We have moments each week here at Crossroads and online, and they're strawberry moments. They're intended to help us enter into it fully so that all things line up, and that stream that God has that He wants to freshen up and bring into our lives every day is fresh and life-giving. So, do you want to have a healthy soul? Do you want to have a soul that's soft and it's going deeper and it's uncluttered and you can savor, quick to love? Do you want to have that kind of life? It's available. It's available. We're going to do a song. The band's going to lead us, and it really talks about how to think about ourselves, how to treat ourselves in this soul-shaping process. And it also tells us how God thinks of us as we do this. Then I'm going to come back. We'll have one more thing I want to do, which don't leave. I think it's an important thing. So let's do this song. So I just want you to close your eyes right now and take a couple deep breaths. If you're at home watching online, do the same. Just clear the clutter. I want to give you a moment. It's an important moment. I want to give you a moment to listen for your soul to whisper to you, to speak to you right now. If you listen quietly enough, persistently enough, you might hear it say, I've been waiting. I'm shy. I'm terribly shy, even in the most boisterous person. I can only whisper, never shout. I'm your soul. You may never even notice me, but I'm here, waiting. I don't lie on the surface. If you want to find me, go deeper. If you look and listen patiently, you will learn to recognize my voice. I speak through your confusion, through your wanting, through your hurt. When you're addicted, it's I that is chained. When you hurry, it's I that is left waiting at the curb. I can be wounded, lost, repulsed, hardened, and redeemed. when you watch a sunset or hear a child laugh, when you eat a strawberry or listen to a piece of music that causes you to become suddenly choked up. It's I that causes your eyes to fill. It's I that brings all the fragments of your life together into one. Your circumstances actually matter far less to you, to your happiness, than you think. It's my health that makes your life heaven or hell. And someday, when the sun burns up and the universe melts away, I will be here. I am your soul. I am you. What will you do to me? What will you do with me? I'm waiting. I'm here. Amen. Amen. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for being with us this week. Stick around. There's lemonade and some of that great coffee out there. Fill out that Connect card. If you're in the room online, fill it out. Drop it in those orange kiosks on your way out. And we'll see you Thursday night at 6:30. Next Sunday's the 4th of July. 10 o'clock here. We'll be here. See ya.